Hello and welcome to Back to the Future with Evan and Gabby. Double features, double takes. This is the podcast where we talk about two movies, one new, one older, and what makes them a good pair, and how the history of films influences the present. I'm Evan.
And I'm Gabby.
And today we are discussing the movie that has people refreshing their phones outside theaters for open seats. It is none other than The
Odyssey.
And what else could we pair it with but none other than this recent adaptation of this legendary story, Oh Brother,
Where Art Thou?
Nice.
It always seems like it's a question, but they don't put the question mark.
Yeah.
You know?
What gives?
What gives?
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about the question mark. So instead of talking about what we've been watching recently, because honestly, all I can think about is the Odyssey and adaptations of it.
I know you're fully Odyssey pilled.
I'm just sailing the seas.
You're just looking for a way home to your streaming services and your Criterion collection.
Home to my streaming services. Oh my goodness.
And your Criterion collection. We are physical media advocates on this pod.
That's true. Did you buy anything in the 50% off Barnes & Noble sale that's going on right now?
Yes, I did. I'm so glad that you asked. I got a couple of I got Network, of course. One of my favorite movies of all time on 4K. And I have been trying to scope out like which titles are likely to go out of print, maybe because of the Paramount merger. So smart. I got Ace in the Hole from Billy Wilder, one of my favorite directors. One of his, I think, a little bit lesser known works, but really great movie with Kirk Douglas. And I, like you, have been waiting patiently for the Mike Mills box sets to be released so that we can scoop that up. 20th Century Women, let's go. I'm in my bag. I'm in my bag and it's in my cart.
Well, hit checkout because that's available right now and on Barnes and Nobles.
And Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore either. Came out this month that I'm going to do.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, I really want to see that. I've never seen it. Mm-hmm. The Mike Mills collection is interesting because I guess just really quick, we'll circle back to that. I got Ghost Dog Way of the Samurai. And just to prove to the audience how much of a 180 I've done on this movie, I did get sentimental value.
You did? Oh my God. Okay. I did not get sentimental value, and this is like a petty reason not to, but I just don't like the cover art. I'm so sorry.
That's me and worst person in the world.
If somebody who did the art is listening to this, I'm so sorry. It's just, I don't know. Something about it, I'm sure I'll come around because I love the movie, but.
So my thing with the worst person in the world cover art is that I don't think the art is bad. I just think it's a bad pairing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I understand what they're doing, but I don't like it for the movie. Had I seen that removed from worst person in the world, and I'll put up graphics here so you everyone can see what the covers look
what
like,
we're talking about, yeah.
Then I would be like, oh, that's a fun piece. But I see what you're saying about sentimental value. I didn't feel that way enough about the art, but to turn me off from buying. But yeah, just those two. And then, so the Mike Mills collection, Mike Mills, director of Beginners, 20th Century Women, like Gabby said, come on. 3 really, really great movies. Some of my more modern favorites for sure. I think 20th Century Women, out of the 3, my favorite. I think it's also the best version of the kind of project that he's doing, which is to, one, honor the memory of his parents, but also the way he dissects images and the things that are important to us, like when we're younger and how we bring them into adulthood. I think it's the best version of that. But this is so what's the phrase for it? I privileged, I guess, to be able to speak about this, but I'm like, do I actually just get a 4K player to get the 4Ks and not
you don't
the Blu-ray
have a
version?
4K player?
I only have a PS4, which plays Blu-rays only.
I don't think I knew this about you, and I will say my opinion has now changed.
Gabby's hitting stop record?
End friendship? Stop record? Yeah, I mean, yeah, gotta get that 4K going. I don't have like a fancy 4K player. Like I know there's like a Panasonic model that the real heads all have that is like $400-$500. I have not made that investment yet because I still want to proceed with my wedding. I think my fiance would absolutely literally like fling me off a cliff if I bought that.
She would be Agamemnon, and you would be her child.
Yeah, she would fling me to the sea.
Yeah, or all of Argus's brothers.
Oh
and
my
she's
God.
John Leguizamo.
I am the sacrifice, but I feel like that every time I come home with a single Criterion, she's like, no. But I have not a fancy 4K player, but it gets the job done, and it does upscale the Blu-rays. So best of both worlds.
Yeah, send me that when we're wrapped up, because I
will off my physical media hour.
Yeah, because I think as I dive more into this like collecting, it does feel more important to have the thing that can play, 4Ks, because that's where we're going, right? However, I could just buy a PS5 and then we'd be set.
That I can't get into. I'm not a video game girly. Never really have been. Only
That's
during
fair.
the pandemic. During the pandemic, we were all Animal Crossing is what we were doing. And I did. Yeah. And then I sold my Switch last year for like, I don't know, it's somebody who didn't know how much Switches cost, like a new one. And I sold him like all my games and stuff for like $500.
Well, it makes sense. You sold them with the games,
I did, but still. And I went to Mexico and I was like, never looking back.
Wow, incredible. Way to switch up your lifestyle, Gabby.
Incredible stuff. Well, speaking of things that may make us losers, let's talk about the Avengers Doomsday trailer.
I think it makes me a loser. I think you're okay because
I said us to be generous, but
yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I should have taken it. Should have not addressed it. I'll say that Marvel has been such a dominating force in the culture for going on 20-ish years at this point. And when at the height of Marvel, if a new trailer was dropping, even before I worked at New Rockstars, whatever, that would be the first thing I did in the morning, was that I would wake up, see that a new trailer dropped, whatever scrolling plans I had, whatever my mobile phone routine was, I would just chuck that out the window and watch the trailer immediately. And I will say, as soon as I hopped onto Instagram, I saw Jessica Clemens from New Rockstars posting the Doomsday trailer dropped. I said, that's it. Get the AirPods in,
okay.
And we gotta watch the Doomsday trailer immediately.
Locked in.
Yeah.
And
so I watched it and I was like, you know what? This has the potential to work. I was quite excited because it is from what we're seeing, what the Russo brothers do best, which is to just take these disparate characters and storylines, mash them all together, and really make it feel like a comic book. And I think it's something that when I watched Captain America Civil War, like, however many years ago, I was like, wow, it really feels like we're jumping around all over the place. But as I've gotten to know comics better, I was like, you know what? Civil War was the first of those movies that felt like a comic book, which I think is like good and bad. And I think you can apply that same thinking here to Doomsday, which is like, this trailer feels like it's going to be a crossover comic book event, which is what the movie is, right? The only difference now is that a lot of the characters that are featured, we have nowhere near the same amount of relationship that we did with Infinity War and Endgame,
Like,
so yeah.
I mean, I think that, I've never been a big comic person. Like, I didn't really grow up with it. I mean, I like Spider-Man. That's kind of the extent of my superhero knowledge, but pre-MCU. And I still want to say, I think I've seen most of the MCU movies at this point, but I appreciate what the MCU has done for movie going over the past 20 years. And I think that's the serialized nature of the storytelling was a like very interesting approach.
Mm-hmm.
But and it did work for a long time. I think that I remember like the fever pitch leading up to Infinity War and Endgame, and that felt different. And I was like, you know, even if it's not really my thing, I was like, bravo, you've achieved something here. And then after that, it kind of came to pass like what I had always kind of felt about it, which is that that kind of storytelling for movies is just not really sustainable. It's just it's not. Like if you have to be leading up to that one big thing and then like branching off into other like smaller kind of spin-offs and episodics, like it gets to be too much. And like I think that they did lose a lot of their audience that way. I think that they've been really trying to, you know, kind of desperately get back that audience and get back that place in the culture since. And I don't know if this is going to do it, is kind of what I felt when I was watching the trailer. I was watching it and I was just like, this feels really, really desperate and really like that's what I thought. I was like, this feels like such a grab for like, give us the Fox X-Men audience,
Right.
give us the old MCU audience. Look, Captain America is back. Look, we have all your favorites. And also, Robert Downey Jr. sounds like the Adam Sandler in Hotel Transylvania. Look. Like I don't know. I mean, I think that people will see it. I mean, I will probably see it for this podcast. Other people like seem excited about it, but I just kind of watched and was like, here we go again. Here we go.
And I think you are in the majority there, right? Like a really great example of this is Chris Evans returning, right? Did you know that he was returning for this movie?
Yes,
Okay.
I did, because I mean it was heavily rumored, and then they did those teaser trailers last year where like they have him with the baby. He has a
That's
baby.
right. I forgot they did the teaser trailer. So my cousin group chat, which is like there's almost 20 of us in there,
oh wow,
was blowing up when the trailer dropped, because my cousins who are like maybe 10ish years older than me were like, "What? He's coming back? What's going on?" And they're like, "Evan, what is this about?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, did you not know Robert Downey Jr. was coming back?" They're like, "No, we meant Chris Evans." I was like,
okay, so it's working.
Right.
It is working for some people. That's great.
Well, they were very confused, and they were like, "Didn't the last movie seem like that was the last movie?" And I was like, "Well, you missed. Well, how many years has it been?"
That's, I mean, from my understanding, that's just not how comic books work. And
yeah,
I do think that these movies work best when they feel like comic books, and you know, when they're leaning into it really hard. And I think that is what the Russo brothers do best with this property. Like you were saying, like I think that Infinity War and Endgame worked so well because they leaned into like, we are going to make it a comic book. Like Infinity War is a to be continued, you know, splash page at the end.
100%. And I think that, you know, when we're talking about like, can Marvel ever reclaim that like spot in culture again? I don't think it ever will, to be honest. What I do imagine is that after Doomsday and Secret Wars happens, what the Marvel project is going to become, and how the movie and TV shows occupy their place in culture, is that they're going to feel a lot more like the random like sci-fi movies that would come out in the 2000s and 2010s. Like they're gonna occupy that type of like action blockbuster spot, instead of being like, this is the dominant thing that is guaranteed to get X amount of money every single time it drops, you know?
Exactly. And
I think it's a better spot for that to be. There's less pressure on the storytellers to make it this other thing. And I hope as a culture and critics can kind of just like let go after Secret Wars and be like, and you know what? That the first 10 years were great. The second 10 years, not great. And now it's a different thing. And we're just gonna get one of these movies every year instead of 3 a year or whatever.
And that's fine. Like I said, I mean, there's always gonna be a place for them. There's clearly an audience for them, but you know, I think it's really hard to have anything at this time kind of be monoculture the way that Marvel was for a hot minute. And it's just impossible to keep that grasp and like keep monoculture as one thing for too long, because frankly people have short attention spans. Like, we're gonna go to the new thing. Honestly, the new thing in movies is like obsession. It's horror. It's like, have you seen this small horror movie that everyone's obsessed with? You know, it's not like, have you seen the latest installment of, you know, this superhero and they died, but I guess they're coming back because their contract says this many movies. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah.
I suppose we will see how it goes. I mean, I hope it's successful enough for them. I don't know. I don't think that it's going to make even close to what, you know, Infinity War and Endgame made. I just don't think that the same excitement is there, but we'll see. I hope Robert Downey Jr. got his bag for this, because
I mean,
he's begging us to forget that he got an Oscar like 2 years ago. He's like, I won, but forget about that. I'm back. Fuck, man.
Boy. Well, speaking about things that could become monoculture, let's talk about
Oscars.
Let's talk about Dune Part 3. We were lucky enough to see a teaser of it when we went to our screening of the Odyssey in 70 millimeter. It opens with a great thank you note from Denis Villeneuve saying, with heartfelt thanks to my friend Christopher Nolan, here's a preview of Dune Part 3. Just a synopsis, I guess, if you're curious. It's a really intense action scene with Stilgar and a lot of the other, what looks like Fremen, but probably an assorted group of soldiers landing on a planet where it's very rainy, and then they all get murked by one single gun. It was so intense, especially where we were sitting, right?
Like, yeah, it was amazing. I was levitating. I was like, bring me this movie right now. Odyssey, who like put this one on? But yeah, we were sitting in an area where like we were not too close to the screen, but we were like very like in the sweet spot of like very immersed, you know? Like,
yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Like we were, like close enough that you were very immersed in the screen, like that you can't really, your peripheral vision is still the screen.
Yeah. and the sound though, and we'll get to some of that sound stuff more when we talk about the Odyssey, but specifically with Dune as well, just the sound of the bullets, these laser bullets from the gun was so intense. I mean, I've seen the Odyssey
and the
twice.
Rain with the rain.
The rain was
too.
crazy. Yeah. I would say too, like if you are someone, the Dune tickets are out already, right? They've been out for a while.
Some of them are out. I mean, I think they did kind of an Odyssey thing where they released like
pretty far,
just a couple of show times. Like if I was looking because I was curious, and if you look at like Universal City Walk for opening weekend, they have like two showings, like the 7 p.m. and the 10 p.m. that are of course completely sold out. But they will release more.
Yeah, this one I'll say, I mean, there's a lot of, and we'll talk about maybe the 70 millimeter stuff when we get to the Odyssey a little bit more. But like, honestly, we were sat, like Gabby said, we're sat close. Like, this is a movie where if you sit close and you just want to like let the action wash over you, I think like that could be pretty cool. I'm not saying like sit in the front row, but if you're like,
no, don't do that.
If you're like 4 or 5 rows back in an IMAX, I don't think you're going to have a bad time. Like this is one where I think like it's not going to be bad if you're a little close.
No.
It was kind of sick.
It was great. I loved it. When it ended, like I was like, oh my God, that was 6 minutes already. Like, cause everyone was like, oh, it's a 6 minute like prologue or something. And I was like, what do you mean that was 6 minutes? That felt like 60 seconds.
Oh yeah. More. It goes by really quick, especially when I saw it the second time. I was like, I like honestly was like, oh, that's it. Like, yeah, I need to see the next part or yeah.
God damn it.
I do think out of the 3 films, I always forget that the end of Dune Part 1 is like really action packed. But like this feels like it's probably going to be the most like actiony, right? Out of the 3.
This is the holy war, Evan. Come on. I mean,
that's right.
This is really high praise from Evan too. I just want everyone to know because Evan has famously said to me on many occasions that he, quote, doesn't give a scrank about Dune.
Yeah.
End quote.
Don't give a scrank. And now
he's locked in.
The scranks are given.
Okay, one more really big piece of news that we got this morning that we absolutely have to talk about is that the Hollywood Cinerama Dome and theater collective behind it, that used to be an ArcLight, is reopening after, I want to say, like 6 or 7 years. It'll probably be closer to 8 years by the time it opens in early 2028. Thanks to an initiative by Sony and the Alamo Drafthouse. They will be taking
Sony
over.
owns.
Sony owns the Alamo Drafthouse, correct. And I simply could not have woken up to better news. I think this is my favorite place. It's my favorite theater. Like, you know, when I moved here, like I was there every week, like especially because when I first moved here, I was at the Emerson campus on Sunset that was like walking distance, and I was like, I lived here, so I'm very excited for this to come back, even if it is as an Alamo Drafthouse, which I am currently boycotting.
Yeah, the Alamos had a really, I texted you this, but like the hero to villain to hero again arc is really crazy. You might say the Alamo Drafthouse is kind of like the Loki of movie theater chains.
I feel like they did this to get back in the good graces of film lovers, honestly, because
100%.
One of the reason why I stopped going, I used to love the Alamo Drafthouse because I felt like it really respected, you know, the immersive cinema experience of like, they were very strict about no phones. They were very strict about no talking. Like, you know, they had pretty decent food. Like I was locked in. And then they recently started the mobile ordering thing where they let you have your phone out basically for the whole screening. And I was like, no, I hate that.
Yeah.
It like is going directly against what they were initially for. Thankfully, I made Evan look up before we recorded to confirm that the Cinerama Dome part of the theater will not have a dine-in service, so we won't have to worry about that.
Listen, I know it says it in the press release, but I'm only cautiously optimistic about that being the case.
You think they're gonna rip out all the seats in the Cinerama Dome to put those weird pods where like they have the like, because now they have like a pod system where you're not supposed to be able to see the light from somebody's phone, but you absolutely still can.
Maybe I have to go just to see what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, they put up these like screens like between you and the people. It's really weird. It's really jumping through hoops. I'm like, let's just not do that anymore.
But what if you're there on like a date?
Exactly.
Can't hold hands through the screen.
You put a little hole through the screen.
Yeah. There's like cutouts to remove in the screen of like different sizes, like for hands, for leaning on your partner's shoulder.
For a forbidden kiss.
Yeah. And it just like, it slowly becomes like human shaped, like the size of the
screen. Yeah, exactly. I bring back the note cards. They weren't hurting anyone.
Yeah. Well, if you've been to the Alamo recently, let us know how your experience has changed, and if you have any thoughts about that. But in terms of the Dome, I do think on the whole it is very exciting because it is a great space inside. It's quite large. I feel like
it's historic.
Yeah. I mean, the whole complex is great, you know? Yes. It's like, I feel like a criticism of more modern movie theaters or movie plexes, right? Like AMC and Regal. The lobbies are like generally kind of small. You feel like you're just kind of being funneled around. Whereas like there's this like very open space. At least that's how it was when it was an ArcLight still, you know? And there was like lots of seating for like, there was like a bar and like I think a restaurant too, right? In that area.
There was a restaurant, yeah.
Yeah. And the Dome is its own building, but it's still all attached. And yeah, it'll be really cool. It's also really nice that this like landmark is not demolished or just like left to rot because there's so many historic buildings in LA that end up getting turned into something else or getting knocked down and tried to preserve parts of it. And like preserving history in LA is a mess, is a huge mess. And so anything that we can hold on to feels like a really great victory for just culture in the city.
Yeah. And shout out to accounts like Save Your Cinema on Instagram and beyond that have been sounding the horn to save the Cinerama Dome for years, doing God's work out there. And I, for one, cannot wait. Cannot wait to be seated back there. And something really relevant to the Odyssey and future Christopher Nolan projects, probably. Cinerama Dome has a 70 millimeter projector. So we're getting another 70 millimeter space back in Los Angeles, which seems to be increasingly crucial.
I know. We'll talk all about all of that as we get into our next topic here, the Odyssey. Speaking of 70, Gabby, how did we see the Odyssey?
I'm so glad you asked, Evan. We are psychos, and we got tickets to see the Odyssey a year ago. So we saw it at one of the very first screenings at the TCL Chinese Theater in Hollywood on 70 millimeter IMAX. It was glorious. It was really special to be in a room full of people that also we all knew, we all knew that we bought these tickets a year ago.
Yeah. At least 90% of that room was in, Also, I heard a lot of girlfriends behind us being like, I didn't even know we had tickets a year ago. I forgot about this, Like, he just said we're going to the Odyssey tonight because we bought it a year ago.
Shout out to those girlfriends. I hope that they enjoyed being strung along to this. Sometimes the movies that you get dragged to as a girlfriend end up being really good.
Yeah.
And then you could never admit it because then it'll keep happening. But
your girlfriend cred goes down.
Yeah.
Your cinephile cred goes up.
That's so true. And what was it? You have seen the movie now twice though. I have only seen it once. I feel behind. I feel like everyone has already seen this movie like 2 and 3 times somehow in Los Angeles. And
how?
How? How? But you've seen it twice. Where else did you see the movie?
So I also considered going to see it the day after we saw it. And I think some of my feelings of the movie might indicate why I didn't see it immediately after. But I did see it at Universal City Walk, another 70 millimeter presentation. I don't remember how or when I got that ticket in relation to you getting your ticket or our tickets. So, but I was texting Gabby and friend of the pod James yesterday about, I've been very lucky to get nice seats in that IMAX theater for the most part, like pretty center, pretty far back. Sinners, Dune. It's always worked out for me generally, or I refuse to just like sit too close because I'm like, I'm not gonna have a good time, But this time I sat really far back in that theater, and pretty far to the right. And I will say it played really well, if not like better than some of the times than I had been like a little bit closer. So, if you are like very picky about your seats, like don't be nervous about sitting like pretty far back on like one of these specialty like premium screens if you have the opportunity to go, I think overall, if you have the opportunity, go for it. And yeah, I think you'll have a pretty interesting time regardless, But I sat on the opposite side from where we were sitting. So we were sitting house left and close to the screen. I was sitting house right and far back. And I was like,
so you have
got a different angle on it.
Yes. So you've now gotten multiple angles. I have a ticket to see it again this coming Sunday. At the Directors Village, recently reopened Directors Village location in Westwood in Los Angeles, on 70 millimeter. Very excited. It's a belated Father's Day gift to my future father-in-law. I've turned him into a bit of a Nolan head. So we're excited. I am very excited to see it again. But yeah, I'm excited to hear how your perspectives have changed since our initial kind of gut reactions on Friday.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's get into it then. This is The Odyssey, of course, released July 17th, 2026, written and directed by Christopher Nolan, based off of Homer's Odyssey, of course, and produced by Emma Thomas and Christopher Nolan, starring an absolute murderer's row of cast members, notably Matt Damon, Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Robert Pattinson, Lupita Nyong'o, Samantha Morton, Zendaya, Charlize Theron, John Bernthal, Hamish Patel, John Leguizamo, Benny Safdie, and so many more. Elliot Page. There was one Elliot that I left Page, out. Yeah. There we go. And many more beyond that. Of course, in our outline, we have 2-sentence plot summary. But what is there to say? It's the Odyssey. It's a retelling of Homer's The Odyssey with the Iliad and the Aeneid all combined. And it's Odysseus and his journey back home to Ithaca.
What you have for the plot summary is Matt Damon tries to get home again.
I wrote that as a placeholder because I was like, I'll get back to it, and I forgot.
I mean, when you think about it, he has definitely made a lot of movies about trying to get back home. So,
well, I was talking to my friend Sam about this. Could you name the movies?
The Martian is definitely one.
The big one.
The Martian's the big one. Also, is he trying to get home and We Bought a Zoo or no? Like he's
I think
home.
He buys the zoo.
I think he's home. He's home then.
Yeah.
Good Will Hunting, he's going away. He's like trying to leave home.
Yeah, I would say you can count Interstellar in this because he is trying to get back,
Is he? He's evil. He's like trying to...
Yeah, but he's trying to get back.
Okay, Interstellar. So there's 2 movies where he's trying to get home from space, specifically. What are the others?
You have Saving Private Ryan.
Oh, Saving Private Ryan.
And this is a fun fact from Sam's friend to friend, I believe. But Spirit, Stallion to the Cimarron, the animated film Spirit. Matt Damon voices the horse.
Did I know that? I think I blocked that out. I think I blocked that out of my memory bank.
I remember when this animated film came out when we were kids, and I looked at that. I was like, I could not want to watch this movie less. Like, I was like, I do not care about horses as a 7-year-old.
Sometimes movies are for horse girls, and I was never a horse girl, but I know that they are strong as an audience, Well, Evan, what did you think of The Odyssey? I'll have you go first since you've now seen it twice.
Yeah. I think where I've come down on The Odyssey is that I want to love it more than I do. But that being said, I really, really like it. And there's moments in this movie that there's a great moment early on in the film that I remember when we watched the first time. Is the introduction of John Leguizamo's character and like how Odysseus met his hunting dog, and there's this scene where it introduces us to the concept of him kind of like what's the word, not stringing but
hunting. He's
hunting, but what's the word where he like draws back the bow, he
snaps
the bow.
Yeah he's so that it makes a sound to warn his prey.
And that scene and knowing where the movie goes honestly made I teared up the second time I watched it, because I was like, oh wow, like that was surprisingly effective. And there's lots of things that are set up in that first act that Gabby and I couldn't quite hear when we first watched it, that actually end up being paid off really well throughout the movie. And overall, like the epic scale of this, the audacity of this movie, the performances, all of it is like so great. I think the thing, to kind of paraphrase something that my friend Berg said when he was on the break room, is that like at certain points in this movie, you're just kind of like, in a sense, like watching dioramas. Like there's almost like so much that is happening with not the emotional pull throughout the movie. But when the emotional moments hit, they really, at least for me, they hit hard. But
yeah,
there is just like a lot that is like happening that I'm like, that at some point it just is kind of just like washing over you, where you're like, all right, another epic action scene. But that's not to diminish the fact that it's like full of epic action scenes, and it's so honestly just like awe-inspiring. Like I think it's one of those things where I left the movie and I was like, well, how do you one, how do you visualize that? But two, like, how do you just like, so few people can make a movie like this and you can't
Oh,
help but be impressed, you know?
yes. Like that was really my takeaway. I think I'm
Mm-hmm.
close to you in that, like, I think that this is a tremendous cinematic achievement. I don't think that there is another person potentially that could have made this movie the way that it is made. I can't think of anyone that it would be exactly the way that it is, or even
Mm-hmm.
close. The scope of it, the scale of it, everything about the imagining of and the modernization of some of this story is a tremendous feat. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that I loved watching it. I loved being immersed in it. The
Mm-hmm.
more I think about it, I don't know how much I like it. Like,
Yeah, sure.
you know what I mean? I recognize that it is a tremendous achievement and I really like watching it. I don't know if I like the story or like, I don't know if I like it as much as other Nolan movies or just other
Yeah.
movies, Like, I think I like Oppenheimer more than this. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's just because it's a little bit more of a character driven kind of piece. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's just because I'm not a huge action girly usually.
And
Um,
part of this too, I think, is really important to maybe address up front is like, maybe just to clarify, like how familiar, like, have you read the Odyssey, the Iliad, the Aeneid?
yes.
Like, okay.
hmm I read it on my own
Mm-hmm.
as a very nerdy teenager because I went to Catholic school, and Catholic school does not really teach you very much about the Greek gods and goddesses because we are not supposed to know any other gods, even if they are, fictional or something like that. So no, it was not part of my like required reading in
Mm-hmm.
school, but I took it upon myself because I really liked English and
Mm-hmm.
literature. And so many of the books that we were reading had these themes that were very, very similar or, echoed these great, Greek works. We did have to read Beowulf, but which I thought was interesting, but but not the Odyssey.
Interesting. Okay, so you've read the Odyssey. I have not read
I
the
mean,
Odyssey at
a
all.
long time ago. This is a
Sure, but
long
you
time
have,
ago.
yeah. I feel like my understanding of the Odyssey only comes from like pop culture, like the one time I had watched
Mm.
Oh Brother Where Art Thou and also Percy Jackson Sea of
Oh,
Monsters
yeah.
and most of Percy Jackson in general. So I think
So
it's like
true.
not a great understanding of the Odyssey, but there's a lot of touch points of that and Greek mythology there to like kind of go off of. And so it's interesting, I think, watching this movie when you're talking about like getting into the story or getting into the character, right? Like so much of like the Odyssey itself has been told in various parts of media. You know, we were talking when we were talking about pairings, where we were like, well, do we pair this with like something that's more just like about the journey? And then I think my mind was so distracted about the ways that like the story of the Odyssey and different facets of it have been adapted over time and by various TV shows and or like
Oh,
even just
yeah.
like children's shows like Cyclops stuff, like
hmm
and so that's an interesting thing where it's like we kind of know the story already. So
Yeah.
is
That's
the
the thing. That's what I think actually does make it a brilliant adaptation and a brilliant
mm-hmm,
piece to make is that I mean everyone I think when we heard that the next Nolan project was the Odyssey, I think there were a little bit of like, oh really, like kind of groans and like, okay, like he's going
mm-hmm,
for swords and sandals or something like that. But I think it kind of is brilliant for him to take this on because it is a story that even if you have not read it properly, you know it, like you know the beats of it, even if you don't
mm-hmm.
think that you do because like you said, it's just so interlaced and interwoven into pop culture at this point that like even if you don't think you've seen an adaptation of the Odyssey, you probably have. And most of those like even journey home kind of movies that we were talking about, you could argue, but they are loosely lifted from the Odyssey or something
Yeah.
like that because of just how old this text is. But and how persistent it is, how persistent the narrative of just somebody trying to get home and facing insurmountable obstacles and going like against all odds to return to their family is.
Mm-hmm. And the kind of like, I guess maybe like spoilers now, if you know, like
spoilers,
if you can spoil, right? But
for
like
extremely old text.
But I think like what makes this adaptation or this movie so special is that yes, while we do know the story and that may like maybe because of the expectations, maybe that's like why we're not, you know, reacting as strongly to it. But the kind of additional things that he explores and pulls out of the Odyssey, which is like, I think the main thing about that is like Odysseus reflecting on, you know, the fall of Troy and like did this trick like really end society, like end civilization. And that
I think
kind
that's
of reading
brilliant.
of it.
I think
yeah,
that,
exactly.
I think that stroke of it is completely brilliant. It absolutely blew my mind when I was sitting there. And that's the kind of modernization on the text that I'm talking about when I mean that, like, this is so, you know, like for our times in a way that we couldn't even maybe comprehend because we are not Christopher Nolan. But this also reads as like the next project from the man who made Oppenheimer to me, which like it feels almost like an echo of Oppenheimer in that way, where Oppenheimer is, you know, about a real person who was, you know, extremely controversial because he was undoubtedly a genius, but also what he brought into the world brought a lot of bad into the world and changed the world as we knew it. And I think that Odysseus is grappling with the same thing. Like, did I accidentally, you know, take part in the fall of everything that I know? And, you know, I think that it's even more resonant for him, or hard for him to visualize, because he's not home and because he doesn't know what his civilization is like now, post-war. He has no idea. He doesn't even know, you know, that incredible sequence when he gets to the kind of the underworld island. He doesn't know Agamemnon is dead. Yeah. He has no idea. Like, and that Agamemnon was not greeted as a hero when he got home, that he was promptly murdered, you know, by his wife, which I must say I would also do if he sacrificed my child for better wind. But yeah, I think that reading of it, I was completely blown away by.
Yeah, and I love the comparison to Oppenheimer too, because you could honestly that's a really good link where Oppenheimer is, you know, deals with both halves of it, as does this movie. Oppenheimer focuses more on like the kind of like unknowing creation, like not and then like arriving on that, where this is like dealing with all of the fallout and the regret and the guilt, you know, because even before that underworld scene, he's already dealing with that first, like internally. Like, I remember when the movie first starts and they're leaving Troy, and Himesh Patel's character is like, "Oh, Agamemnon's going that way. Shouldn't we follow?" And he's like, "I've sailed under him long enough." And I was like, "Whoa, what's going on here?
Huge mistake. Huge mistake.
And then a huge mistake. And he Odysseus, ultimate procrastinator.
I think I saw somebody on like Threads or something that was like, the Odyssey is the ultimate men will do anything but ask for directions movie. And yeah, so kinda. But yeah, there is a lot of hubris and a lot of arrogance in this rendition of Odysseus, and I think that has been a little controversial for some people, but or like for more like scholars of this text. But I think that ultimately that is a theme in all of Nolan's work. He is drawn to flawed men. Flawed men who are quote unquote also great men, you know, in history, or, you know, like people that we look at as having these tremendous legacies, and seeing the human qualities in them. And I think that humanity is ultimately like when the movie is working best for me, is when there are those notes of like treating him not like he is a god who has defied the gods, defied the odds. You know, like when at the very end, when he kind of becomes like, you know, John Wick, like coming into the, like, it's very satisfying, but I was so much more gripped by the scene where he is sitting on one side of the like partition between him and Penelope, and he's not yet telling her who he is, and they're speaking, and like Anne Hathaway is, we should talk about Anne Hathaway, but they're like reuniting but not reuniting yet. And I was so gripped by that. And then it turns into like full action movie again of like I will slay all of these men. And I was like, okay, I'm rolling, but you know, that's not as human to me, because he's turning into like a superhero, you know, slayer of all these suitors, and not just, you know, Odysseus, a man who fought his way to be back with his wife or his family.
Yeah, and he has such good reactions during the siege of Troy too, when he realizes like what he's doing and how this is affecting him. And those are such good moments without the kind of like dialogue there. But I also feel like the scene where he both scenes that he has with Tom Holland, I honestly thought both of them were really good in it too, where he saves Telemachus from being assassinated, and then he also Telemachus realizes like he's meeting his father when they're like talking, when the dog finally passes away. Very sad. And I don't, that scene, I mean, like the versions of that scene have been done, right? Like children reuniting with their long lost parents, but their parents haven't like being like, whoa, it's not me yet, you know. Like I've seen that before, but it's like when your father meets you, he'd be so proud or whatever. And I was like, this is cheesy, but like it got me. And like I feel like Nolan movies have this, like there's this idea that they are kind of like a little bit like cold, or like maybe like not super emotional, but honestly, like when you're in the bag for it, you're in the bag. Like Interstellar, Inception, like certain moments from that.
I feel like really his movies are either cold, like too cold, or too sweet. Like Interstellar is like too saccharine for me.
Yeah,
but I did think that those more, you know, relationship based and character based moments in this movie really sung for me. And I think will ultimately be what stays with me longer. That, you know, rather than the really impressive, massive scale of the, you know, like the action sequences. And I mean, it's beautiful. I mean, even just to look at, like they shot on, I believe, 6 different countries. Like they were all over the place for this movie, and it shows. It's absolutely breathtaking to look at.
Yeah, it all feels really real and tactile, you know, and it doesn't feel like there's a ton of like CGI shortcuts.
Something that you can do if you are Christopher Nolan and probably no one else.
Yeah, because I think everyone else is like either too afraid or the studios don't trust them, you know? Like
I think it's too expensive, and like if you don't have like a steady maybe team the way that Christopher Nolan does at this point too, where he has like a team of people that he works with to create these incredible stories and incredible products, you know, I think that's gotta help.
Yeah, like the people that I really think that would make the next version of this if they could, like the two people that immediately come to mind are like Ryan Coogler and Jordan Peele, because like they have a similar type of vision, and they usually can get like people committed to like achieving it, you know?
Yeah,
I think
they
Sinners
could.
is a small scale example of exactly what they did here in the Odyssey.
Give me Greta Gerwig's adaptation of the novel Circe. Do you know about this novel, Evan?
Oh, I've heard of Circe. I've wanted to read it for a while now. Yeah.
I read it a few years ago. It's very good, and that's why it's the only thing I could think of when during the Samantha Morton scene, which we'll talk about, but let's kind of break it down now that we've gotten our kind of gut reactions and talk through some of our opinions. How did you feel about the American accents? Which I said this to you in the theater, where you were like, why? You were kind of like, why American? And I was like, I think it's because Matt Damon probably can't do a British accent, and they all have to sound like Matt Damon. Because
I almost would have rathered like everyone just talked like however they wanted to talk in their natural voices, you know?
I agree. I mean, I think if you're gonna go modern with it, like just let people sound how they sound. And also, I doubt that everyone sounded the same in ancient Greece.
I mean, there's already a pretty diverse group of men as part of his crew, you know, that like I feel like you could have just had people just with like English accents, with American accents, with whatever, you know, and it would have been fine.
I mean,
and most of this comes down to it does sound like Tom Holland is mostly doing Peter Parker from a lot of it, you know.
I did think, yeah. I mean, maybe they could have just had Anne Hathaway do a British accent so that it would make more sense if Tom Holland had a British accent.
Sure,
but,
yeah.
But still, it was I wasn't bothered by it, but I do agree with you. I think that I don't think I would have questioned it if just everybody was speaking how they speak.
Yeah, I thought it was fine. Yeah.
Speaking of Tom Holland, how he's gotten some of the more, I think, mixed reviews of the film. How did you feel about Peter Parker taking on a big boy role?
Yeah, we were texting about this last night. We talked a lot about this on Friday as well. Like, I want to love him in this, but there's something that kind of holds me back from it. From like fully being like, he's great in this. My friend Lux had a really great line where he was like, he's like, I really love Tom Holland in this because I think he is playing the part of like being like this little kid that's like trying to always hold it together, but always being on the verge of like crying because he can't. And that was like a really helpful framing of that. I don't know if it 100% works, but I will say I was quite touched by his the cut to his face when he's reacting to John Bernthal's story about the horse and how he's crying, and they kind of reveal that they know he's his son, Odysseus' son. And just like and again some of those interactions that he has with Odysseus at the end. But I wanted a little bit more. I will say a vocal stim of mine the last few days, just to myself. I'm not even saying this to anybody else. Just been, my dad is coming home.
Yeah. I think that the beginning of him, like him in the like first act of the movie was much tougher for me than it was towards the end. For some reason, I think that maybe just the first like 20 minutes of this movie are a little tough for me because they are very exposition-y and just kind of like trying to get you into this world very quickly. And I know why they have to do that, but that is the point where he has a lot of those lines like, my dad is coming back, and I'm like, okay, like it doesn't even bother me that he says dad that much. It's just kind of the way it is. And I agree with that reading that I think he's like obviously like a little bit stunted, a little bit, you know, immature. And even the Anne Hathaway, like his mother goes at him and is like, says multiple times, like, you are not a man, you're a boy. And I think that Tom Holland is also maybe playing this a little bit younger than he is. And I think that's kind of what stuck with me a little bit, where I was like, he's a little too old for this. But
it's kind of like the Florence Pugh in Little Women, right? In the first act of Little Women.
He's like, a little too
big?
old for this. Yeah. But overall, he grew on me towards the end.
We were kind of talking on Friday about like what role can Tom Holland do in the future? Like, can he grow out of Peter Parker? Can he grow out of being Spider-Man? And not to say he's, you know, like he's not bad, but like Andrew Garfield has had like a pretty interesting career. Tobey Maguire as well. But like, what could the role that like, what could the next role for Tom Holland be? He's been trying to make other things work that's not Peter Parker. Nothing's really sticking, you know?
Okay, hear me out. I think he has to lean into Goofy. Like, I think he has to lean into being a little bit more of the Tom Holland that's doing the like song and dance musical theater Tom Holland, and do like, I would like to see him in like a La La Land, you know? Like a little bit of a romantic, like I think he could do like a romantic comedy or like but like with musical elements or something. Like, I think that those are his strengths. I think that when he tries to do like very serious drama or like action hero or like bad, like gruff guy, it just doesn't really work as well because he's Spider-Man. He's Tom Holland.
Yeah, like, exactly. It's hard to wash that image off.
Right.
You know?
But I could see him doing the Ryan Gosling mold where like over time he becomes this leading man. But Ryan Gosling did a lot of like kind of like romantic movies and like comedy type stuff and like smaller, like Lars and the Real Girl or something. Like, I personally think that's the smart move for Tom Holland would be to lean into, for his next role specifically, a little more of the musical. Like, he's a dancer. Like, he was Billy Elliot. You know, he can sing, he can dance. I'm like, show us.
You know what? We talked about him in relation to Gosling on Friday. I also mentioned he could have been Dr. Ryland Grace. Like, he could have been great in Project Hail Mary.
Yeah, like exactly. You said that. I think he would have been. He might have been better than Ryan Gosling in
Me too,
Project Hail Mary, because he's a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe it is like what you just said about that scene where he's really emotional. He reads a little more emotional to me than Ryan Gosling does. But
you saying La La Land and the musical theater stuff is really interesting because you know what actually might have been huge for him if he had done Wonka.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Not that would have been so good. I still haven't seen Wonka,
God.
Right? Like, I still haven't seen Wonka, but like that could have been it.
Wonka like soft sold me on Timothée Chalamet. Like, I think that he's good in that role, but Tom Holland would have killed that role. And but I think he's a song and dance guy. Like, I think he's long been kind of rumored to be in like a Fred Astaire biopic, but I think that's too stuffy. Like, I think like, you know, that's a little too like awards baity for me. Like, you know, do something fun. Like, I think that that's what we need to see from him, but I am not a professional or Tom Holland's agent. So
yeah, but Tom, if you're listening and you want us to help do some management picks for you, we'll do our own management company and help you pick some roles out.
The Back to the Future management arm is now open.
Yeah, it's now open for business. First client, Tom Holland.
Second client, Anne Hathaway. Does she need us though? I mean, we continue our Anne Hathaway coverage, Anne Hathaway summer. We have now bingo. Yes, Anne Hathaway bingo. We have covered Devil Wears Prada 2 and Mother Mary, and now we are in the Odyssey with Anne Hathaway as Penelope, which I really enjoyed her as Penelope. I thought that she was searing. I thought that she was bitchy, like, you know, like in a good way. Like, I think that in a lot of other adaptations, it could just very easily be like this long-suffering wife character that we see very often, but she plays Penelope. Sometimes she's definitely like dialing it up, and I think she's playing.
I was gonna say,
she's playing to the rafters a little bit sometimes, but I kind of appreciate it. I would so much rather see somebody go really big and fierce with this role, rather than just like mourning or like, you know, contemplative. Like, is my husband returning from war? Like, I don't need that. And Anne Hathaway knows that I don't need
that. You know what took me out a little bit, which is like, so this is so nitpicky, and I have no quality or judgment to say anything about this, but I'll put it out there because we're podcasting. When at the end, when Odysseus kind of like falters and we think he might die, and she's like, Odysseus, my love. But then she also was like, no, not now. It's like this weird, like it's very modern, but then by saying like Odysseus, my love, like tries to also bring you back to that time. And it's just not like the approach I would have taken to that scene, either from a writing or an acting perspective. Very, very nitpicky, obviously, but I do agree with everything you said.
I kind of agree with that. I think that it's a little bit out of her character in that moment because she is so much of a like, I think it would have been a little better if she was kind of like, Odysseus, no, like you've come this far, like get up. Like, get up, boy.
Sure, yeah.
Like,
I mean, the alternate read on that is that like she's been waiting 20 years to have this moment, and
well,
like
of course,
that's her way in, is that she is like everything we've known about her is different now because she is this is
of
what
course.
she's been waiting for.
But I do think that her moment that I have behind me here with the bow and her kind of deciding that like I will, like her scene like where she's like, I will marry anyone who can string this bow, knowing with her full chest that no one in that room is going to be able to do it. I think she bodies that scene. I think that is an incredible like moment for her, and congratulations on your Best Supporting Actress Oscar nomination.
Wow! Oh, nomination. Okay, I thought you were gonna say win. I got excited.
I think she can win. I do think she can win. But I don't know. We'll have to see how that category kind of fills out. But
yeah,
I think she's the front runner at this moment, and she has already won this category before for Les Mis.
And also just another scene that I want to save so we can talk more in depth, but you mentioned it earlier where her and Damon are talking through the veil. She's quite good in that scene.
She's like excellent.
Yeah, because it's really good.
Yeah, because I mean, she's kind of getting a piece of Odysseus in that moment because she thinks she's talking to somebody who knew him. Doesn't realize that it is him, but it's when they're talking about that pin that she gave Odysseus to like wear into battle, and you know where he's saying like, "Oh, Odysseus never took it off," or like you know something like that. And that melted me a little bit.
There's this great profile shot of her. Yeah, this great profile shot of her where she's just like crying and tears are falling off her face, and it's like, oh, brutal. Well, let's talk about Odysseus, Matt Damon. This is probably one of his best performances ever. I mean, I'm not a Matt Damon scholar, but it's so committed. He has to do so much in it. He like physically,
it's very physical. Yeah. I mean, this is going to be recency bias, but yeah, I think this is my favorite Matt Damon in a really, really long time. I think I'm a sucker for young Damon. I love him in Talented Mr. Ripley. I think that's one of his, if not my favorite, I think it might be his best performance, but I think he's really, really good in this movie, and really, you know, like he's an everyman, and I think that's the best casting for him, is that he like why he's the best casting for this role is because we've seen him in so many everyman roles as like a father, a husband, you know, and we've also seen him in action movies. We've seen him in the Bourne movies, you know, like we've seen him do a little bit of all of these pieces of Odysseus before. And I think that it's just a really like beautiful kind of almost like end point for him to be at. Like, I don't know. Yeah. I kind of said this to you about Nolan when the movie ended, but I kind of feel this way about Matt Damon too, which is like, where does he go next? Like, what does he do from here?
Yeah. We should talk about that too.
Yeah.
Where does Nolan go next?
But even Matt Damon, I'm like, this feels like such an incredibly natural like buildup of like all of his characters have kind of been leading up to this moment. And that's why I'm like, I'm ready to hand him the Oscar too. We didn't talk about the Digger trailer, but
yeah,
Matt Damon, come get your Oscar, man. Like I
think Tom Cruise has another one in him, but Matt Damon does not have another one of these in him for sure.
I don't think so.
From a pure physical standpoint,
yeah,
you know.
Well, even if he does, I don't know if he'd want to.
yeah, 100%. I mean, I like, you know, we were talking about the American accents before. There's a moment where he's saying something early on in the movie. He's like making a plan that I was like, oh, it just sounds like he's doing The Martian, but honestly, like so much of this movie is him. Like, it's like, you know, he is, you know, Agamemnon's most gifted or smartest general, but he still is this everyman, like you've described. We have a way into like, to see what this journey has done to this guy, you know, and he doesn't seem inaccessible because of his whatever his smarts are, right? He doesn't. The portrayal of the character doesn't deign to be like, even though he is defying the gods and he says it, it doesn't seem like he's like, I am better than you though, you know, like it is like, I am with my men and this is, and we will get home.
You believe that he really and truly wants to get these men home because he also feels that he has kind of doomed them already.
Yeah. Oh, every shot where he sits down when someone gets knocked off the oar and he sits down and rows with them while calling out the stuff. Oh, so good.
Well, I mean, those moments are what saves that character because there are so many moments. There's a moment where his crew essentially tries to mutiny, you know, and then be like, you're staying back here and we'll go ahead. But those, you know, moments where he like becomes a team player and not just the leader of these men is what saves him and what makes us root for him and what makes us like want to be on his side, essentially. Because otherwise it would be really easy for him to just be like this arrogant, you know, leader that everyone is against and that the audience turns against. But you know, Nolan is smart enough to know that we need to stay with him.
100%.
I know you want to talk about Zendaya, but I think we would be very remiss to not talk about that scene that happens right after the mutiny, the Circe scene.
Oh yeah.
I think I really, really loved that scene, and I really wanted more on Circe's island. I knew exactly where we were, like not even from reading the Odyssey, mostly from reading Circe, but I knew where we were when they got off that boat and when the animals were like, there's a lion, there's a tiger, there's like a panther, all these animals that are not like coming out of their caves or like they're just looking at these men as they go up to Circe's cabin, you know, like just as if they are already dead. And it was very haunting and very like, I loved it. I loved the whole execution of that scene. I thought Samantha Morton was, you know, lights out. she did really, you know, I think that, you know, people are right to be praising her for that scene. I think that there should have been more. I think that like that, I understand. I mean, this is already a 3-hour movie, but that is such a pivotal part of Odysseus's journey. And it ultimately in the poem, it lasts a year. He's there for a year. And in the Odyssey, he's there for like a day and he's like realizes that his men are something's off here. But just that scene where the men turn to pigs and the fact that it was done again mostly practical with like clay and rubber and like I don't know how they did that shit, but it was incredible to watch. And it was like the closest I think we've gotten also to Nolan doing body horror. And I was like, okay, do I want to see Christopher Nolan body horror movie? Ooh. Like,
yeah, I mean, he was asked if he would do a horror movie, and he was like, the idea's just got to be really good. He's like, Obsession is a motherfucker.
Yeah, that's so true. But the scene
works like a motherfucker.
But Circe, the moment after kind of Odysseus realizes what's going on and demands that she, you know, turn his men back, you know, and they're having that conversation. And I mean, I'm gonna play my woman card, but her being like, you don't know what they would have done to me, or like, you don't know, you know, like, you don't know these men, like I know these men, kind of like in the way that she's saying it, like, and you could tell in Damon's face that Damon's like, I know my men. What are you talking about? Like, my men are honorable, my men are noble. And she's like, no, you don't. And I'm like, that's so true, girl, because it's true. Like, I don't think that, it's like such a fleeting moment, but I'm like, yeah, bros don't know their bros the way they think they know their bros sometimes. And sometimes a woman just knows, like, it's an instinct, it's an intuition. And she plays it so well in that she's not even necessarily afraid anymore. She's just kind of like, like, I know what was going to happen if I like let them in here and, you know, gave them too much and didn't make them into something that I could control, essentially, or make them into their true form, pigs.
Yeah, I know. The capping off that transformation scene by being like, back to your disguises, and they turn back to
Queen.
humans. Like, what a great line. Yeah, I agree with everything you said. It's a really, really great scene. And more would have been welcomed for sure.
I want if Mr. Nolan is listening, please release the extended cut, the director's cut, whatever you want of those scenes.
All right, well, let's talk about Zendaya. This is at least the third movie to prominently feature Zendaya in the press tour, where she has less than 10 minutes of screen time in the whole entire movie. I think that's a testament to her as a star, you know?
You mean ever? You mean ever, or like this year?
Ever.
Okay. I was gonna say, because she definitely has a lot of screen time in the drama. What are you talking about?
No, I know, but like Spider-Man: Homecoming, she's in it for 2 to 3 minutes, according to the internet. Dune Part 1, she's in it for 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Odyssey, she's in it for 6 minutes tops.
Yeah.
So this, I think, again, it's a testament to Zendaya's career that she is a big star and a huge draw for people, and they know that like if she's on the press tour, it's going to be really helpful. But it's like,
but also just
more.
her presence, like her presence, like, you know, on screen, you don't really need more of her, but you want more of her, you know? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like she works so well that, you know, in the little bit that she's given, that you don't necessarily need to give us more, even if we want it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Normally I want more. But in this
I'm not
movie,
sure. I'm not sure if I wanted more here, but
in this movie specifically, no. I think how it was revealed of like this form of Athena that he's talking to is actually this image of a young woman he watched beheaded, I thought was perfect. I thought that reveal was incredible, that he's associating the siege of Troy with this woman and Athena as this figure that's guiding him, and the symbol of his regret. You know, I thought it honestly, I mean, we talked about this a little bit, but I truly was like gagged to use like, you know, more modern terminology, but I was like really speechless. I thought like that was such a brilliant thing. But you felt that the reveal of Zendaya there didn't quite work for you, or I can't remember what your reaction was to that.
No, I think that the reveal worked. Like, I think that the reveal is kind of what saved it for me. I think that once we get that reveal, I'm kind of like, oh, I understand why. And the movie is trying to tell you, with the whole Zeus's law of it all too, that hangs over the movie, that you're supposed to treat anyone as you would, you know, yourself, or as you would like a god, because a god can look like anyone, essentially.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that the reveal that Athena does not just look like Zendaya because Zendaya is Zendaya, and that she looks that way to him because it symbolizes somebody that, you know, that he saw like begging for her life at a certain moment that he didn't treat that way, really worked for me. I think all of the moments before that moment with the big reveal and the partition didn't work as well for me, when she just kind of pops up. And I don't know, I think it's just something about it was a little too modern to me in those moments. Like, it took me out when she's just kind of like walking aside him and is like, what do you mean? So you hear thunder, you don't think that's a sign from the gods? Like, just the way that she says it or something like that. I was like, this is incredibly modern. And also it's Zendaya. And in those moments, I couldn't see her as anyone other than Zendaya. Like, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, I see what you're saying. I feel like the reveal of it being this image of a girl that he saw killed, helps ground the movie a lot more, right? Like, something that we really haven't talked a lot about is like the movie as, you know, a Greek myth, so to speak, right? And its relationship with like the mythical elements of the story. There's a lot of like monsters and fantastical stuff. I think the movie does a brilliant job by saying in an age of apparent magic. Because it helps hand wave away, you know, Nolan's preoccupation with like things needing to be real or whatever.
What do you mean? But Cyclops? Cyclopses aren't real? That was very real. The Cyclops was real. It was a puppet, Evan. It was real.
I don't want to get into the puppet aspect of it. But I think what the movie doesn't do as much is like it doesn't make the gods a physical thing as often. They're more about forces and forces of nature and things that happen. And I think by revealing that, I think it helps the movie not be like, well, there was this one particular god who was speaking to Odysseus the whole time, but his his guilt has manifested in the form of this god, and it's a mirror of like this of every misgiving he has in a moment. Like, what is he doing? Is it the right thing?
Yeah.
Am I making the smart choice? I know I'm not making the smart choice because I'm seeing this image of what I associate as Athena talk to me.
It's real. It's realer, you know, it's more grounded. And I do appreciate that approach in general with the gods of it all, you know, like we don't see Poseidon. We don't see Zeus. We don't see, like, they are mentioned, but we don't see them other than Athena, or this manifestation of Athena. But I think that's 100% right.
Yeah. And so I that's what I liked about it. I do get what you're saying about maybe those moments feeling too modern just because of the execution. But as an element of the story, I did like how it landed there.
Right.
You know?
I think that upon a second viewing, I'll be a little bit more, you know, it'll stand out to me less. But I think that, on the first viewing, for some reason, it really stood out to me as like, whoa, Zendaya's here.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hopefully this time you'll be able to hear it, you know?
That's also true. Yeah. Yeah.
Last final shout outs on performance before we get to some other things to wrap up the section. Got to shout out Robert Pattinson.
My favorite
comedy relief in this movie.
Get the spears, the shields.
So good. I mean, like, you could say so good thing.
He's so good at being like a sniveling, whiny, like entitled asshole. I love it for him.
Yeah. The way he like pseudo seduces Anne Hathaway, Penelope.
Yeah, kind of.
That's a good shot.
But then the immediate reveal that he's just like fucking Mia Goth instead. Incredible stuff. But yeah, he is much needed comic relief. But also, I don't know, I can't see it being anyone else. He's one of those in the movie that I'm like, he's so good at this. I don't want anyone else to even try.
Got a great look for it too. Also, his like little co-conspirator, played by
Corey
Hawkins. Love to see Corey Hawkins make an appearance. Charlize Theron.
Ooh.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No, finish your thought.
I was just gonna say, tough look for our paths when he's like being really mean to the dog. Tough look. That is pure evil when he's just like, get that thing out of the hall. And I'm like, it's a senile dog.
He throws him on the dung pile.
Yeah, he does. And I'm like, this is so mean. He is like very mustache twirling in some moments, but I think it works for what this is.
Is the dung pile where they all go to poop?
I think so.
So everyone's just pooping next to this dog?
I think so, yeah.
That's brutal.
It's pretty bad. Pretty bad. You shout out Charlize Theron.
Incredible. Like
10 out of 10 casting.
10 out of 10, but just the age appropriate casting for that. Like, a worse movie would have put like Sydney Sweeney there, right?
Yeah. No, Charlize. Sydney Sweeney, who? Charlize Theron could lock me up in a padded cell for 7 years, and I wouldn't know. I'd be like, yes, thank you so much for this lotus flower. Not even like a beautiful scenic island or whatever netting that she's wearing. Like, she looks incredible. You're right, she's age appropriate, shout out. But also 10 out of 10 casting for like, who would everyone universally agree to be stuck on an island with for 7 years?
Oh, 100%.
100%. Like, I'm so sorry my fiance won't listen to this until after we see the movie, but I'm so sorry. So sorry, hon. I don't know if I would tell you about it, but I'd be like, yeah. Actually, no, I would tell her about it. I think she'd be I think she'd be jealous. She'd be like, what? Um, but yeah, shout out to her. Shout out to John Leguizamo.
Yeah.
Really good in this movie. Didn't think he had that in him. Good for him.
Yeah.
I think he's a little tough for me again in the first half, but towards the end, he pulls his weight. Appreciate it.
Yeah. 100%. And then Elliot Page, that.
How could I forget Elliot Page?
Yeah.
5 minutes of screen time, completely bodies. Incredible monologue. Incredible, like just the vulnerability, like on his face, like during, like, even through all the soot on his face, I was like, this is also killer casting. Thank you, Nolan.
And then lastly, I guess, like, could have probably used more from Lupita, but I also feel like she made a lot with the time she was on screen.
Yeah, and
as much as she could with the characters.
Again, 10 out of 10 casting. Just like, who would most people, other than a very unsavory side of the internet, who would most sane people agree to go to war for just by seeing her face? Lupita Nyong'o.
Yeah. I mean, even in the shot where we meet her and Bernthal is like, the face that launched 1,000 ships, maybe 500, he turns her face. But the way she's lit in that she's gorgeous. She's incredible.
She's still Lupita. Yeah. I'm going to war. Lock me in. But speaking of Bernthal, could have used more Bernthal.
He was great.
He was.
Everyone was good.
Everyone was good.
Even though we were knocking Tom Holland before, everyone was good.
Yeah, no, they're really, like, we're nitpicking. Like, there's not a bad performance. Like, everyone showed up for this movie. They got the call from Nolan. Did you see the little article of it that Matt Damon, like, exposed how you get the call from Christopher Nolan because he doesn't have a phone? So Christopher Nolan famously does not have a cell phone. He won't use one. So whenever somebody is going to get a call from Mr. Nolan, they get, like, a text first from his wife, from Emma. Emma? Yeah. And then you just get, like, a call from, like, a random number at Universal, like, whatever line he's using that day. But you can't call him back, I guess.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, you just get a random line from Universal is calling you, and it just happens to be Christopher Nolan. But yeah, everyone showed up.
Everyone showed up, including Himesh Patel, who, along with all those guys on the ship, probably had to do the most physical acting with
so true.
Matt Damon. Insane mode.
Incredible stuff.
All right, well, let's to kind of wrap up the Odyssey chat. This is definitely the longest podcast we've ever done.
Longest podcast ever.
For the longest movie ever. A lot of talks around the exclusivity around 70 millimeter screens. This film was shot entirely on 70 millimeter. Large format screens, as is intertwined with the history of this, at the start of this podcast. That movement really just kind of took off as we were creating this podcast. So now a lot of movies are really prioritizing these big format screens, and audiences know that this is where they want to go and see them, in a way that I don't think has ever really been as popular, before.
Yeah, I think that it has become a way to eventize movies a little bit more. Even movies that are not, automatic, blockbuster hits or something, like One Battle After Another last year, or Sinners, like things that are not guaranteed to be, a huge box office hit. The way to kind of eventize it is to have it be shot on this special format and have people kind of like, it's kind of like a treasure hunt. And it is interesting that I think Letterboxd right now is doing, like, the punch card of like how you saw the movie, because it does make it kind of like, you have to seek it out to see it in a certain format. And it's easier for us and people who live in major cities that do have the ability to have these projectors and these, multiple formats at the ready. But I think it does make it it's a little unfair to people who are, it's 8 hours away from the nearest 70 millimeter IMAX.
And, I think the people are asking if we can get more projectors, if we can get more screens. I think the current head of IMAX said that, like, they can't make more projectors or something like that.
I mean, at a certain point, I think it's, yes, making the projectors is incredible. It's difficult. And also training people to work them, like it's a very, very, special skill set, like specialized skill set is what I mean, that not even every projectionist, I don't know if they're trained to work with a 70 millimeter projector. They may be used to 35 or, something different, because it's so rare. But I hope that we get more. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, on top of that, then, is that the physical theaters the screens have to be big enough to also then accommodate the screening. So
that's correct.
It's kind of like a multi-level thing that you can't just turn the switch on overnight, right? You can't just make new projectors and send them out, right? I think the technician thing, the projectionist training is such a great call out of that. I totally blanked on that. So we'll see what happens. It seems like this is such a big moment. And also, like, if you make it more available, does demand go down? But maybe this will mean
I don't
more
think
studios.
So. I think,
sure, yeah.
I think that exactly what you're about to say, which if there is more availability, I think that we will see a rise in directors wanting to make films on this format and studios pushing for it, because it is more of a box office draw, and it means it is an experience. Like, I think it's one of the few, like, IMAX and 70 millimeter and VistaVision and all of these specialized formats is one of the greatest arguments that we have right now for going to a theater, because it is truly an experience you cannot get at home.
Yeah, 100%. And so we'll see. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if by this time next year, if not 2028, there is at least one, like, either true shot for IMAX movie a month or 70 millimeter
a month. Oh my god,
a month. Yeah,
I don't know if we can do it that fast. Maybe by 2030.
Well, everyone's shooting on VistaVision now.
That's
right?
true.
Like, even Begonia could have had a 70 millimeter screening if it wanted to, because of shooting on VistaVision.
That's true.
Which is crazy to think about, because I don't want to watch Begonia in VistaVision. I mean, in IMAX.
I'll watch just about anything in VistaVision or IMAX. It just something soothes me, the experience.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, and also, like, I think these are definitely some of the best 70 millimeter prints that we've seen, because even when we saw, because it was shot on 70 millimeter film, right? Because we saw One Battle After Another, which was shot on VistaVision, but blown up. But we saw it screened I saw it screened in 70 and in VistaVision. And in 70, even it's a little grainy and stuff like that.
Right.
The movie was so clean, and I feel bad because, like, I want to say you're not missing out if you go to see the widescreen format. And I don't disagree with that, but everything we've just said sounds like you might be missing out.
I think that Nolan is such a meticulous filmmaker, but I don't think that he would put anything out that he thought did not look appropriate for viewing. Yes, it's very special to be able to see it the way that it's intended to be seen, and to see it on the huge, the biggest screen imaginable. I don't even think we mentioned that the Odyssey is is currently the only and the first movie shot entirely in IMAX with IMAX cameras.
Yeah.
It's shot IMAX entirely 70, to be seen in IMAX 70, but I don't think Nolan is the kind of filmmaker that is going to put out anything that is going to feel like a lesser experience. I think he wants you to see the movie. So
100%.
Go see it.
Even watching it yesterday. Yeah, go see it.
Watching
it yesterday. Seeing the widescreen crop, I was like imagining what would it look like. I was like, no, everything's there. You're not missing.
It's there. It's a fuller screen, but everything that you need to see is still in the center of the screen. So
yeah,
I think just go see the movie, and this is absolutely going to be one of those movies that, like most Nolan films, is re-released until the end of time on all of these formats to see a couple times a year. So if you can't see it now, don't be too bummed. Just see it. Just be part of the moment. And join us. Be part of it.
Go on this journey. All right, the last thing before we stop talking about the Odyssey. Where does Nolan go next? I
I
say
don't know.
chamber drama.
Chamber drama.
Just kidding.
I mean, I wouldn't not watch it, but I don't know. I said this to you, yeah. As soon as the movie ended almost, and we were both just kind of sitting there like awestruck by what we just saw. And I was like, what does he do next? Like realistically, like this is the biggest undertaking that you could do, if you were Christopher Nolan. So what do you do next? Do you go bigger somehow, or do you just go back to kind of like making, some kind of gritty action movie, or, an espionage thriller? Like, I feel like the Odyssey has parts of all these different genres, which is also what makes it so grand as a story. Like, it has a little bit of everything. But yeah, I don't know. And I genuinely don't know what he does.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a horror movie, if it's like he tries like another war epic, like he does like a 1917, like a oneer just to challenge himself, or like just because it feels like any other like sci-fi thing, unless the idea is like super super good, might just feel like it has to be smaller. There's no way it's ever going to be bigger than this.
No. I think that
this is like our generation's Lawrence of Arabia. Like,
yeah. I mean, speaking of Lawrence of Arabia, a film made by David Lean, this movie, should it win Best Picture and Best Director, would be only the second time that a filmmaker's movies that they made in succession, back to back, would have won Best Picture or Best Director. And the only other person to have done that before now would be David Lean for Bridge on the River Kwai and Lawrence of Arabia.
Yes.
Back to back wins. But other than that, I'm sure that Nolan is bound for Oscar glory with this one too. He'll get a nice little victory lap on this one, and then I think what you're saying is right. I think he has to go smaller, not just because there's no way to go bigger, but I think I would like to see him do like a really just well-mounted, smaller movie at this point, like just go back, just crank him out. Like just give us the Nolan experience.
Because things that I think he struggled with in this movie were the Scylla scene. I didn't really like the tentacle things. They kind of looked a little like cheap in comparison to everything. And also the quote unquote like John Wick stuff at the end, because of how big these cameras were. I don't think he can do a lot of the same kind of like movements he can sometimes get out of the smaller 35 millimeter cameras. And I don't know, some of it was like a little bit like, okay, where are we? What's happening? It's just like spinning around, but it's also like, it's kind of all you can do because the cameras are like refrigerator sized.
Yeah, they had to do, I think for this movie, they said it was called the blimp is what they kind of invented. Stuff. Yeah. To raise to have the cameras running, but not have the sound of the IMAX cameras ruining every scene because they are so loud and large. But I don't know. What would you like to see him do next? Like if you could pick the next Christopher Nolan project, you're having a meeting with him. He's calling you from the undisclosed Universal line. And he says, Evan Yee, I want to know from a dedicated moviegoer, a cinephile.
Oh no.
What do the people want to see?
What if he does a Western in space?
In space? You want him to do cowboys? Christopher Nolan is calling you, and you say you should do cowboys versus aliens. That's what you say?
Yeah, that's what I say. Or I was going to make this joke before, but this also seems like it could be real, but not. What if James Cameron was like, hey, direct the next Avatar?
No, that's not what I want. Don't put that out into the world, Evan. Please.
Oh boy. What about you? Is it the horror movie?
No. I think I would like to see a Christopher Nolan horror movie, but I don't know. I think what I would say is that I want to see him do something a little bit pulpy and a little bit more like a better known adaptation now that he has adapted something that, you know, is almost unadaptable for anyone else. Like, what is his what's his Gone Girl? What's his, you know, his Cape Fear? Like I've been watching, sure. I've been watching the Apple version of Cape Fear, which is not very good at all. But I can't stop watching it. For some reason, Javier Bardem doing a really bad Southern accent really speaks to me. But I feel like, yeah, if he really is going to be up there with like the Scorseses, the Spielbergs, you know, the Kubricks of our time, I'm like, what is his version of Cape Fear? What is his version of like, you know, a really popular, pulpy kind of crime action-y movie? I would like to see him have fun with something, you know, something a little less serious, and just have fun with a blockbuster.
Oh my God. If he wanted to return to the DC world, he could adapt my second favorite DC comic book ever, The Human Target, which is exactly that.
But he's already done. But he's already done comic books.
Bring him back.
Okay.
James Gunn said, "Bring him back." No one knows who the Human Target is. Everyone's like, "Who's this guy?"
Who is Christopher Nolan? We don't know.
Who is Christopher Nolan? Right. Well, speaking about not knowing men and who they are, we will transition to talk about "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" and we'll be back right after this. We're back. We were eating some snacks and we realized we forgot to talk about maybe one of the best scenes from the Odyssey, and we feel like we want to just make sure we talked about it. The Siren song scene, which is getting a lot of, you know, critical acclaim as well as a lot of memes coming out of it.
Yeah.
But it was really great. I mean, that's also another thing that's been parodied, or not parodied, but done a lot, adapted in a lot of different ways across, you know, movie, TV, just like fiction.
The Siren song is a common kind of pretty common like temptation
device.
Yeah, in a lot of stories, but this one, they came for the crown in the Siren scene. They really did. With that Matt Damon shot of him screaming is going to be a meme for the rest of time. But I also just thought that it was absolutely brilliant to still not let us hear it. You know? Yeah, like,
you thought we were going to hear it?
Well, no, but I didn't really think we would, but just to like, have it be like such a painful moment for him and have us sit in kind of his discomfort while we can't hear what he hears was really really the moment in the movie that I think got me the most.
Yeah.
Was the most
just seeing the crew member who takes the wax out and runs off, you know, like, and everyone
jumps overboard, absolutely jumps, is like, goodbye.
His face is so gleeful in that moment too.
Yeah, he's ready. He's like, bye. I don't want to go home.
I think what makes that scene, that also elevates that scene from something that we know and we've come to expect, you know, besides the performance, is also just like that it's intercut with the reflection of like what the song is and his feelings about it afterwards, that we hear Odysseus talking about it. And he's like, it's the promises I couldn't keep, and everything that you really want is everything you already had and you'll never have again. Is brutal. It's so emotional, you know?
Yeah. And it's one of the first kind of moments in the movie where you realize, or where it's kind of spelled out for us that like, oh, you don't want to go home because you don't want to face what you may have, you know, wrought onto your civilization, onto your world. You're not ready, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're not ready. You need to go to this island with Charlize Theron for 7 years and eat some flour and think about what you've done, but also have a little bit of amnesia. Like, you don't remember because you're not ready yet.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, just to finally for real cap off the Odyssey talk, is that like Nolan really has made this movie his whole career, right? This man, this like great man, gifted man or whatever, who is trying to just get back home and is struggling because of XYZ reasons. And it's really the way he's been able to hone his storytelling devices, whether it be through like the editing of multiple storylines or just like the characterization of this person, it all kind of like culminates with this movie and in this moment specifically
Mhm.
to be able to so effectively and articulately address the regrets that you have as a person who has done these things and is like, well, you know what? I never needed to leave to begin with. I had everything I wanted and
Mhm.
I messed it all up.
This is all my fault. The movie.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the other acclaimed adaptation of the Odyssey. Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou? Released December 22nd, 2000. Wow, before the towers fell. Crazy.
Yeah. Did I realize this movie was that old? Oh, okay.
I thought this was 2004, if I'm being 100% honest.
If I'm being real, I thought this was mid-2000s movie. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
It was written, produced, co-edited, and directed, or co-directed rather, by the Coen Brothers, aka Joel and Ethan Coen, starring George Clooney, John Turturro, Tim Blake Nelson, John Goodman, Charles Durning, Michael Badalucco, and Holly Hunter. Of course, many more. We talk about the box office and awards. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Was a critical hit in 2000. It made $71 million at the box office. Imagine a movie like this coming out today.
Oh,
probably
Flop
does
City.
not clear 40, right?
Flop City.
Doesn't clear 20 even.
No, I was going to say 40. This movie makes 12 million if it comes out today.
100%. So how times have changed,
Meanwhile, the Odyssey has already made, at the time of this recording, in which the Odyssey has not yet been released for a full calendar week, has made $283 million worldwide, and it's only getting higher. Evan, is the Odyssey going to hit $1 billion?
I think it will, because Oppenheimer was 975 worldwide, and this at least is like kind of like an action movie. So
yeah, I think we're getting a bill. I think it's hitting $1 billion, and it's also like there are people that have tickets for this movie like booked solid for the next month. Like you can't get a decent. I've tried because I do want to see this movie at City Walk, Universal City Walk. I couldn't get one. I did end up finding one in like mid-August, but you have to wait until like basically September to get like your pick of seats in an IMAX 70 for this movie. So I think it's going to have some really strong legs on it the way that Oppenheimer did, and I have no doubts that they will run it back again for awards time in 70 millimeter. It's gonna, much like Oppenheimer, we're going all the way.
100%. I mean, like, speaking of awards, Oh Brother was nominated for Best Screenplay and Best Cinematography at the Academy Awards that year. Did not win.
Boo.
It feels like the Odyssey will probably be nominated in every category.
Probably, yeah.
I can't think of anyone that it would not be nominated in.
Song. This does have an original song by Travis Scott, who is the first person that you see on screen in the Odyssey. That's real. I'm not making that up. I don't know. I don't know if the song's gonna make it. Maybe if maybe if it just like gets swept up in the narrative of like, let's break the record again. Like, I don't know. Also, I'm not sure. I feel like the acting categories, like I feel like Damon and Hathaway are absolute locks. I think it gets a little hazy from there. I think it depends on the rest of the year.
It could go Tom.
I don't know. I think Tom's running. I think he's going to make a real push. I don't know if he's going to get it. I think that in terms of the supporting actor race of it all, like I feel like I would nominate John Leguizamo before I nominated him.
That's true. That actually I think will happen. I
think it could happen. Like, I think that there are so many supporting players that are so outstanding in this movie that yes, we absolutely could. People are even saying Samantha Morton, and she's only on screen for 8 minutes.
Yeah, but she's supporting actress.
Yeah, and so she's too lights out. They're like, damn.
Yeah, and Anne Hathaway would not be nominated for lead actress in this.
I could see. I don't know. I think that this sometimes happens with actresses, and this is a different podcast. This is Gabby's Awards Corner podcast. But sometimes I think that I don't know if it's the actors themselves or just like the marketing machinations behind the campaigning, but I could see there being like a Lily Gladstone situation where they run her in lead because she is not the lead of this movie, but she is technically the female lead. I mean, there's no other female that has screen time like she does, but she still doesn't have that much screen time. And because Anne Hathaway has, as I mentioned before, already won in the supporting actress category, sometimes I think actors themselves kind of make the push to go lead. That said, I think that she can win if she is in supporting. I don't know that she can win if she's in lead.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, we'll have to see with End of Oak Street, you know?
The dinosaurs from End of Oak Street are who are being nominated.
Yeah.
But Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? Another movie with not many women. I guess there is a Penelope,
Holly Hunter, and the Sirens. That's it.
And also, he has 6 daughters.
Oh yeah, all those kids.
All those little kids. It's a lot of kids, but
a lot of kids.
Must say, I must start off the Oh Brother portion by saying this is the best George Clooney has ever looked at a movie to me.
What?
Even with the goofy, like I prefer him Silver Fox, of course, but I think the mustache is doing a lot for me here, and I understand why she had them 6 kids.
Really interesting stuff.
I mean, it also should be put on record that I am marrying a woman, and maybe my taste in my taste in men might be a little bit questionable. But I was like, damn, Clooney.
Maybe it's because I don't think he's very good in this movie.
Really? Okay, let's start there. So this movie follows not necessarily a crew of men, but it does follow a man named Ulysses, which is the anglicized version of the name Odysseus, that escapes from kind of like a prison chain gang with 2 other men, so 3 convicts in the Depression era American South, going on a journey to find a treasure promised to them by Ulysses to potentially change their lives. Evan, take it away.
I really just wanted to watch the Odyssey again. Yeah. I think it's really hard to watch any movie after the Odyssey. I'm going to be trying to palate cleanse myself.
Any movie? Wow. Okay.
I think it's just the scale of that movie. Maybe just because we've been watching so much CGI slop, you know.
That's so true.
But not that this movie is that, right? I think it's a much lower budget, obviously. But, you know, this movie is famed for being one of the first movies to use digital color correction. And it does, you know, take big swings with that. Looks really good. Obviously shot by Deakins. I've seen this movie twice. I don't know why it doesn't really resonate with me super well.
It's not my favorite Coen. It's not.
I'll say that maybe I'm not smart enough too.
I don't think that's true. I think it's just like, it's definitely not in my top tier Coen movies. Sure. I watched this the night after we watched the Odyssey. I watched with my fiance, and she really liked it. And I think the reason she really liked it is because she also said halfway through the movie to me, she was like, "Oh, this is the Coens? You know, I've never seen Fargo." I was like, "Girl, what?"
Yeah.
And I was like, of course you like this movie. You haven't seen Fargo. You don't know what they're capable of.
A Serious Man. Like, have you've seen A Serious Man?
A Serious Man.
That was my favorite. I would love to know what she thinks of A Serious Man, actually.
I think she loves A Serious Man. But I mean, this is not one of my favorite Coen Brothers movies. This was the second time I've watched it too. I've seen it before. I think I liked it a little bit more this time than last time. I think, you know, it was a fun enough, you know, kind of romp. But now that I think I liked it, or maybe I was more confused by it the first time because I maybe wasn't putting all the Odyssey stuff together. I think I just watched it in the pandemic and just like on a whim. But
oh wow, okay, yeah.
But after seeing the Odyssey, I think I kind of put the pieces together a little bit more of the story and the like, oh, of course, this is the Cyclops. Of course, these are the Sirens. But yeah, I think I like it more than you do, but I still, it's mid-tier Coens. And it's just hard to watch anything on a very small scale after you see something on a really large scale.
100%. I think there's a world where viewing this as not an adaptation of the Odyssey actually makes the movie feel a little bit better. Like according to Wikipedia, despite the fact that Ethan Coen described the Odyssey as one of my favorite storyline schemes, neither of the brothers had read the epic, and they were only familiar with its content through adaptations and numerous references to the Odyssey in popular culture. According to the brothers, Tim Blake Nelson was the only person on set who had read the Odyssey because he had a degree in classics from Brown, which is very funny.
Oh
I guess
God.
that's really, that's true.
I love that man. I love Tim Blake Nelson.
So I think that's a really interesting thing because I think one of the narratives around this movie is that it is an adaptation of the Odyssey, and it certainly is, right?
It is.
But I think because
it's loose.
Not mapping it,
it's a loose
and not mapping it closely helps you experience this movie better. I think it's more interesting to kind of look at it like in the way that this is like, Depression era. It's like a fantasy tale almost of like, what can people do to make their lives better? Like we're trying to find this one thing. While on the other hand, juggling a lot of the race relations as well as like, the what's the word? The reform candidate who's running for mayor is running on the reform ticket.
Governor.
But he is also part of the KKK.
He sure is. And he exposes himself as a member of the KKK, which I did think was very funny and very like, of course, a member of the KKK running for office would accidentally expose themselves.
Yeah.
They're he's like, I saw them at a Klan rally, and everyone was like, what were you doing at a Klan rally? Like it is funny, and I mean, I like this. I like the song. I like the songs in it. Like it does great. Have a fun Music's like great. Musical little detour to it. Actually, the soundtrack to this movie was more successful than the movie. Like the soundtrack like actually made a ton of money and won a Grammy. Like it was, a real hit. I too would also listen to a band called the Soggy Bottom Boys. That sounds really up my alley. But I'm interested in, what you said that you don't like Clooney in this movie because he is playing kind of the Odysseus figure. He is deceptive. He is like, he's the leader of the kind of three-ring circus, and he is misleading these men, as it is kind of revealed towards the end of the movie that there is no treasure, and that he just needed to break free to stop his wife from remarrying. And I think things unravel from there in a similar kind of doomed way for them, but I'm interested to hear what you think of his portrayal of an Odysseus-like figure.
Yeah, I feel like it's because the beginning of the movie feels a little bit more like a like an ensemble than it does like this is like this guy's story. I think and trying to map it to the Odyssey, I was like struggling. But I also feel like he doesn't quite I don't feel like Clooney really settles into the role super well. It almost feels like he's practicing for the better version of this role that he has later in life, which is Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is this person who like
a little bit
kind of has like a bigger vision for himself and is able to, or I mean, it's also like a proto Danny Ocean in a sense, right? But like it maps more onto Fantastic Mr. Fox because ultimately he wants to do best by his family, but he can't kind of like
he can't. He's gotten himself into some trouble. But it's also all his fault that he's in this trouble.
Exactly.
Like no one to blame but yourself. But I don't know. I didn't dislike him in the movie, but I do think it's a different gear of Clooney that we don't see very frequently. And I think I like seeing a different part of him. But even if it's not, you know, I think he does other things better. Like, I don't think he does like daffy, like kind of goofy guy very well.
Yeah, this is more Clooney, like straight comedy almost.
Yes,
right?
He's a little too like physical comedy, and like, you know, it's a little jarring because it's like, this is George Clooney. Like you know, he's stoic and sexy kind of guy, or like, you know, he's smooth talking, or, you know, that kind of thing, which he is kind of a smooth talker in this movie. I mean, he is, like we said, I mean, he's deceiving these men, and he deceives many people. But yeah, I think it's just a different gear for him that I don't mind seeing, but I definitely don't think it's like his best work.
Yeah, that's probably a better way to put it than me being like,
fun.
I just want to see Danny Ocean again.
I think it's just like he's having fun with it, you know? Like,
yeah.
And I am kind of a sucker for like seeing movies where you can tell people are having fun with it, or like, you know, that they're actually enjoying giving the performance, or enjoying finding something different in themselves. But yeah, I did think, I thought he was funny, but not as funny as John Turturro and Tim Blake Nelson, who are just like,
oh yeah, they're so good in
John
this.
Turturro is on fire in this movie. He's so good.
Yeah. Also, like in the beginning when him and his cousin and the little kid keep spelling runoff, RUNNOFT.
I loved it.
Good.
I loved it.
Yeah. Tim Blake Nelson thinking he turned into a toad was really funny.
I know. It's Pete.
It's Pete.
And then the Cyclops crushes the frog. Pete. That whole scene in the movie theater too. We thought you was a toad.
Also, the movie theater scene is so funny because it's basically the Hades scene, right? It is the underworld scene, but it's so funny.
It's
because
really
you're like, he's a real guy. He could just speak normal. He's not limited to speaking like a ghost, but he is.
He has to though. They're whispering.
Do not seek the treasure.
Yeah. It's really funny. I do think the movie is fun. It's just like, hard to compare. It's obviously not trying to be as grand scale as the Odyssey, but
of course.
But yeah, I had a fun time rewatching it and seeing new things in it that I didn't the first time.
I feel like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou maybe struggles a little bit more with like the episodic structure of it than the Odyssey, but the Odyssey is also like slipping through time. But also that's just something I remember from my first viewing of it too, where I was like, oh, it's weird that we kind of just like go here, then go here, and I'm like, no, that's just the Odyssey.
That's the Odyssey, yeah. But I think they're trying to lean away from that in Oh Brother, you know?
Interesting.
Like, I think they're trying to make it a little more streamlined rather than like, you know, the Odyssey is set up to be episodic. Like every time they get off that boat, we're in for something else and they're fucked. Right. And we're losing more men and blah, 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 but we're losing another ship completely. But this movie, I think they're trying to make it a little bit more of just like these three guys and, you know, one kind of narrative rather than an episodic.
Yeah. Other things I liked about the movie, I love that they don't ever question the what's his name, Tommy, when he's like, I sold my soul to the devil, and they're like, cool.
They're like, sounds right, so I could play this guitar.
It's so funny because it's just like, oh yeah, like seeing it now in 2026, you're like, oh, that's Sammy. He's really good with the guitar.
I know.
Also, everything with that like bank robber guy was so interesting. I was like trying to figure that one out, you know? Babyface.
And then he's like, I am not Babyface. And then he's like being like taken to the electric chair at the end, and he's just so happy. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't really get that one either. I think that's just like a running joke. I don't know if that's an Odyssey thing.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely has to do with pride, right? And the image of yourself versus what people know about you. Like, he's like so depressed by at the fire. I thought he was gonna kill himself. I thought he was gonna walk off and shoot himself. I forgot about this how
Oh,
this movie goes.
yeah. No, I knew that he didn't kill himself, but it does look like he's going to. In that scene.
Yeah. I also thought John Goodman was gonna eat the toad.
Oh, that would have been funny.
Yeah. Hard to do.
Yeah. But you could have got a little gummy toad in there. I feel like John Goodman would have sold that. We chose Oh Brother Where Art Thou based on a kind of collection that is currently on the Criterion channel called Odysseys, and it has a bunch of movies that are either loose adaptations or have something to do with the Odyssey. This one seemed like the best kind of the closest like loose adaptation, like other movies
definitely the most like 1-to-1 as far as we can say that, you know?
Yeah, other ones are kind of like more like a journey movie, I would say. So they have like The Straight Story on there, David Lynch's film, Sullivan's Travels, which I did watch it yesterday and I loved it. I think like I had seen it a long time ago, but I like rewatched it and it's really, really good. It's a Preston Sturges film and it's about a Hollywood director who wants to he directs mostly comedies, but he wants to make a serious picture and he wants to adapt Oh Brother Where Art Thou, the play.
Right.
And he decides, and they're like, you can't do that. You're like a rich man and no one wants to hear from you about this story of poverty and woe. And he's like, great. So I'm going to go out I'm going to go out with 10 cents in my pocket. And like, he gets a bunch of costumes, like poor people costumes from like the lot. And is like, I'm just going to go off and see where it takes me. And then I'll be ready to make this picture. And shenanigans ensue. And he ends up realizing that making comedies is more valuable to him because it brings people laughter. And sometimes that's all they have.
Oh, nice.
It's very nice.
I want to watch that.
It's really good. Great. It's a really good movie. It has Veronica Lake also. I'm enjoying that collection. I think I will watch some more of them. Something else we considered for potentially for this pairing, Evan's favorite Wes Anderson movies in that collection. What is your favorite Wes Anderson movie, Evan?
Oh, Darjeeling Limited. Yeah, another journey of a man in a crew, so to speak. I thought it would have been funny to look at it with the lens of like the Odyssey placed upon it, but I also was telling Gabby, I was like, I don't think that I would never associate this with the Odyssey, but you associate it with a journey and a journey of self-discovery, right? And I think it's one of those movies that I really resonate with. I love the relationship between the siblings in that. It's definitely one of my favorites for sure. I owe it a rewatch. Also in that collection, The Searchers, which I have never seen. The Searchers, also an inspiration for One Battle After Another. I have tickets to see that later this year that I unfortunately have to give up. But it's a 70 millimeter ticket, so
damn it, Evan.
Yeah,
this is an embarrassment.
Sorry to be one of those guys.
We have an embarrassment of riches in this in our city of 70 millimeter, and you're just giving them up.
Just giving them up, indeed. One movie that I was going to suggest to you that I thought would have been really funny when we're thinking about the journey is Streets of Fire, which is one of my favorite movies after seeing it a couple years ago. Friend of the pod, James and Alex, both love that movie as well. I've seen it with both of them. It is a very campy 80s film directed by Walter Hill, I believe. And it has a vision, and it also starts with the inner title is A Rock and Roll Fable, which is another tone setting thing. And it's also about a journey and a man and self-discovery, but in a very different way. And I thought that one could have been very funny, but certainly not an inspiration to the Odyssey.
Wow. I've never seen it. I'll have to figure out a screening of that one.
Yeah, they're always showing it in LA, Vidiots or The Arrow has a 70 millimeter print of it. So
okay,
yeah, recommend. But also, Gabby and I, we talked about the great theme of a great man a lot on this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Oppenheimer, we mentioned that could have been a great pairing as well. I also think as far as Nolan movies go, and I think any of them would have been great, but particularly Dunkirk and Inception really stood out to me.
There was a lot. There was a lot of Dunkirk in the Odyssey for me.
Yeah,
a lot,
100%.
But don't make me watch Inception again.
I watched Inception before we watched the Odyssey. Did I tell you that? I had it on in the background.
No. Oh wait, yes you did. No,
and it was.
I'm a hater. Come at me.
I was becoming a hater, and then he brought me right back in.
Nah.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt in the 2010s. You got me. You are.
You're a sucker for Levitt.
Except I haven't seen any of his
you love
last
JGL.
5 movies or his Apple TV show.
No.
I did watch Don John.
As you should. Don John, the most Staten Island movie of all time, even though it's not set in Staten Island.
It's in New Jersey, right?
Yeah, the restraint to not set it in Staten Island was really admirable. But that is the most Staten Island movie I've ever seen.
So, oh my god, it's something my friend Ray, we say all the time. It's like, there's only 3 things that matter to me: my girls, or
my girls, gym, my porn,
laundry,
my porn, my porn, my gym, my girls, or something.
Yeah. My clips, is that what he says?
Yeah, I think he doesn't call it porn, but it's definitely porn.
Yeah. Really, really silly stuff. Any other alt pairings for the Odyssey?
I don't think so.
Could we have gone Lawrence of Arabia? Any other epics?
Yeah, but I refuse to watch Lawrence of Arabia in my home. I would have had to have lined it up with the 70mm screening or something. Not that it's bad to watch it at home. I just feel like that's another one that I don't know. Do you think that people are going to want to watch the Odyssey at home?
I was thinking about that. I was like, do I want to buy this movie? And then I was like, well, maybe just so I could watch it again with subtitles.
Yeah. I think I will watch it at home. I mean, I said a similar thing about Oppenheimer, and I have watched Oppenheimer at home multiple times, and it still rips. So.
Really? Wow. Interesting. I've only seen Oppenheimer once.
Yeah, on 4K, because I have a 4K player, Evan. Come on. I own the Steelbook.
Oh my god, the Steelbook? That won't be safe when the atom bomb drops.
No, I'll be using it as a shield.
Yeah.
Please don't hurt me. I have Oppenheimer.
Her Oppenheimer Steelbook saved her from the blast.
Well, this has been the longest podcast we've ever recorded and probably ever will record.
It's been an odyssey.
It's been a real odyssey. And if you're still listening, you might be psychotic. You might be you might be as crazy as we are. Or you're just a real head. You're a shareholder. You're a BTTF shareholder.
Yeah. And hey, those stocks only go up when the Cinerama Dome reopens, okay?
Ooh,
so buy now.
We're going through the roof.
And hold. Do not sell.
Hold. We are going through the roof in early 2028.
Well, that's it for us today. If you're listening to us on audio, leave a review or comment. And don't forget to check out the video versions of these on YouTube at Back to the Future Pod. You can follow the podcast on Letterboxd at Back to the Pod and on Instagram at Back to the Future Pod. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time on another ocean, on another island.
The Bronx for Spider-Man Brand New Day.